I'm Richard L. Wren, and this is another in the series of information that I'm giving to you for free out of my booklet, a practical guide to writing and publishing, which is available on Barnes & Noble and Amazon. However, you don't need to buy it because I'm going to give away the entire contents on these videos. Today I want to talk a little bit about print on demand versus the traditional forms of printing. Traditional forms of printing involve actually going to a printing company, negotiating with them. There's a number of them that are available in the United States. The large companies where you buy your books from often have their books printed in China because they're so darn cheap. That's available to you also. There's a company called Alibaba, ALIBABA.com, that will give you all kinds of information about companies that will print your book in China and India and the US and Canada and other countries. And you can actually get in touch with the companies online, no charge, just go right online, tell them what you want, and they'll give you a quote on your book. I did that with mine, and I got quotes like $1.75 or $1.25 for each book. However, I had to order a minimum of 1,000 or so from each company in order to get that price. You may not want to do that. You may end up with a garage full of books and then have to still have to distribute them yourself, which is a real problem. There's the other way, the way I'm doing my books is what's called POD, print on demand. There's no minimum. You make more money on the sale of each book. You don't have to buy a bunch of books. You can buy one book if you want. There's no upfront cost. The companies that I use, company I use is CreateSpace. However, there's a lot of them. There's Lulu, and it's worth your while to check them out. Some of them are local. Lulu, I think, is based in San Francisco, and that might be an advantage. I like CreateSpace for a number of reasons. One is I can call them at midnight, and there's always somebody there, and they're always knowledgeable, and they give me information that I need. It's very easy to make changes on the book. You can even have the book printed, have bought or sold several copies, and find out that there's some typos in there that you missed, and you can get in touch with them and make a change, and the very next book that they print will be error-free. With POD, there are actually no books printed. They have a way of fulfilling an order overnight. For example, if a bookstore calls and says they want to buy a book, they'll print one book and mail it, either to them or to you. I don't know how they do it, but they do it. It's very effective. You can use CreateSpace, get your books very easily through them on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, ebooks, whatever you want. They've got the way to do it. There are some cons as far as using a POD is concerned. One of them is cost. Some PODs do charge an upfront cost, so you want to be sure and avoid those. Second is that the books are not returnable as far as bookstores are concerned. Bookstores do not want to buy books to put on their shelves unless they have a 30 or 60-day window in which they can return the books if they're not sold. That is simply not available when you're using POD as a method of getting your book printed. So you won't get your book in many bookstores. That gradually is changing. There's more and more acceptance of that, and there are some major authors that are now using POD. So gradually that may change. You want to keep your eye on those type of changes. There are no publisher resources quite often with some PODs. One of the reasons I use CreateSpace is because they do provide publisher resources, amazingly so. And I think I mentioned before, you can call them up at midnight, they'll be there, they have people who are knowledgeable, and they're wonderful. There's no charge for that service. One of the other things is that there's no advance with a POD. If you work through an agent, you may get an advance, possibly, probably not unless you're already well known. On my book, for example, if I used a traditional publisher, I'd make about $1 profit on a $12.95 book. Going through CreateSpace, I make $4 or $5 profit on the sale of each book. so there are less royalties, and that pretty much covers this particular subject. So once again, this is Richard L. Wren, and I hope you get something out of this, and keep your eye out for the next section.